Hello, hello, and welcome to this episode of Brand OTC, where we answer your branding questions with a faux over the counter product. Now, today's product is a candy bar. It's good in moderation, but it's bad for your teeth, which is also, in this case, bad for your brand. Now, today's episode, we're focusing on the misconception that branding is just a one-time task. Again, it's a misconception. Branding is absolutely not a one-time task. And I'm going to go through about 5 reasons why it is not a one-time task. So let's get right into it. My name is Cynthia Kita, and I am the brand strategist and educator here at the Design Firmacy. And when it comes to branding, branding is just not something that you set and forget. It is always evolving, it is an ongoing process, and it's something that requires your support through and through for as long as your business will exist. It never ends. Branding is forever. And so I want you guys to think of your brand as a living and breathing thing, as if you're creating an invisible person that represents your business. So that living and breathing thing does not get to take a break, especially when it comes to, putting your brand on the map, getting into people's minds, taking up space in their homes and their daily lives and the things that they're doing. Your brand just does not get a break. And so that is why it's just not considered a one-time task. It is an every day, all the time, as often as possible thing that you need to monitor and support for the longevity of your business. So let's get to those 5 reasons. The first thing is that your business is going to evolve and your brand has to grow with your business. So, as your offers expand, as they change, as you add more things to your product suite, your brand is going to potentially need to reposition itself, as you are, getting to know your audience. You may see that they may need some different things, or maybe you need to approach things differently because your audience is not going to stay the way that they are forever, and so you need to also re-examine or reposition your offers as those things change. And so while you may still have the same product or the same service, you may need to add things to it or take things out of it and refine it so that it's still fit for your audience or for wherever it is that you plan to go, which you would have written down in your vision. All right. In addition to that, um, sometimes you need to change your messaging. Again, it all kind of boils down to like your audience and how they're receiving things. So, how is your audience perceiving your messaging? Is it still speaking to them? Do you still really understand, what they're going through, what they need? And is your messaging a testament of your understanding of their needs? So, keep that in mind. In addition to that, your brand identity, your visuals, your logo, your voice may need some updates to show that you're actually growing and that you're maturing as a brand. So even if you're not going through a full-blown rebrand, sometimes you do essentially want to give your visuals like a facelift. Um, you're not changing things completely, but maybe you're giving it more of a sleeker edge or a more minimalistic edge based on what you know, the the design climate is like at that time. And, some of you may kind of differ with that opinion because you may feel like, your brand is your brand. It doesn't have to change with the times. And I'm not saying that it necessarily has to change with the times, but you should consider the style of art in a particular year, right? So, for example, years back, you could probably pass off with a logo that had a banner on it and had, like a crest or, something of that sort. Or even not too long ago, you could get away with, logos that have all the glitter and, have a lot going on, right? Because that's what fit the time. But, as we are progressing and as, things in the branding world are changing, you're gonna see more, straight to the point, fewer detail logos, so on and so forth. So you can still capture what your brand represents and what it means, um, by just giving your visuals a little bit of a facelift, again, to fit what is visually pleasing to your audience at that time. I also want to reiterate the fact that your audience is going to change. So, although you may be talking to teenagers right now, those teenagers are going to grow. And if they're still your ideal audience, you may have to, reposition yourself a little bit or change things to ensure that it's still appealing to them. So, your branding has to adapt to reflect where your business is going and not just where it started. We all have to grow. We all, unfortunately, we still don't look like babies, right? Because we grew, we matured. And so our physical appearance reflects that. And the same is going to happen for your business. Now, I've been talking a lot about your audience. So, number two is your audience expectations change. I know I've kind of brushed over it a little bit, but again, your audience is not static, and neither are their needs and desires. It's always changing, it's dynamic. So, whatever worked for them last year may no longer resonate with them. The messaging that worked with them 2 years ago may no longer resonate. Whether it's 2 years, 3 years, 6 months, 6 weeks, you always have to take stock of where your audience is and how they're responding to whatever it is that you're putting out. In addition to that, you have to consider the fact that trends, technology, and buyer behavior is going to evolve. Now, when it comes to buyer behavior, you have to think of the fact that, right now they say we're in a recession. Some believe we are, some believe we aren't, but, things are expensive right now. And so maybe your audience may not have that extra cash to toss around at whatever it is that you're selling. Like, things are going to change all the time. COVID is also a great example. When COVID came around, the whole world shut down. So a lot of restaurants had to shut down. People weren't going out to eat. People were afraid. People had to stay inside to make sure that they didn't get sick. Things change. And so you cannot have the mindset that you're going to do things the way that you're doing them now and that it's always going to stay that way. You do not hold the world in your hands, and so you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. So you have to be mindful and malleable to the fact that things are going to change. Now, if you don't keep your brand fresh, excuse me, you risk becoming outdated or irrelevant. I don't know if, I don't have a brand in mind because obviously the top brands are going to stay on top of it. But if you saw Walmart or even Amazon, I don't know if you guys really know what Amazon's former logo looked like, but I'll see if I can find it and put it on the screen for you. If you saw that logo for Amazon today, you probably would think that it's an outdated logo, right? And that's because it is, because the art style back then was different from what it is now, from the Amazon um, logo suite that you see now. And so it doesn't really align, it's outdated, right? And so you see that Amazon has managed to um, upgrade or update or uplift, give a facelift to their brand visuals, as time goes on to ensure that they are still appealing to the audience that they want to appeal to and, convert into loyal buyers and loyal fans. So, all in all, when it comes to your audience's expectations, you have to continually do research to ensure that your brand remains aligned and in demand to that specific audience. Because if you don't have an audience, you don't have a properly functioning business because you're not going to make revenue, right? So your audience matters. What they think matters. How their thinking changes also matters because it affects your brand directly. Number three, branding is about perception and perceptions shift. So you have to remember, again, we're talking about our audience a lot because again, it really relies on them. So your brand lives in the mind of your audience and minds change. I mean, how often do we switch up the way that we feel about something. All it takes is one strong opinion to make you wonder if you believe what you say you believe, right? And sometimes, in the case of branding and business experiences, a bad experience or a poor review can shift how other people view your brand. I mean, it literally just takes one mistake, one moment, and everything can change, right? In addition to that, cultural moments and social conversations can impact how your values are perceived. So you always want to make sure that you are reevaluating your brand strategy to ensure that, your purpose is the same, your values are the same, your vision will change. But I shouldn't say that your purpose and your values are the same, but you should revisit them to ensure that you are in alignment with what you said you wanted to do. And if you're not, then you are revising it so that you are like on the right path to what you would like to accomplish. All right. Now, ongoing branding efforts help you to shape and reshape perception over time. And so if you just happen to do something terrible to your brand and people, want to cancel you, it is going to take some time to reshape their perception. But if it's something that's a little bit smaller, maybe you had one of your employees had a bad day and maybe they did something that wasn't the greatest. Your ongoing efforts will help to reshape someone's perception over time. I mean, for example, I'm sure we've all had a situation where maybe we've gone to the store and we did not have a good encounter with a particular worker there or a customer service rep there. And we left, came back, we met someone who was much nicer, who treated us the way that we should have been treated the first time around, right? And because of that experience, we decided to continue or keep a working relationship with that particular business because that second person we encountered made everything better, So having a bad experience is not necessarily the end of everything. You still have an opportunity to right the wrong and reshape someone's perception over time. Now, they may be a little bit more skeptical and more aware of you, but they won't hopefully outrightly cancel you completely. So, reinforcing your brand message consistently will really help to control the narrative of what others feel about your brand, how they encounter your brand, and so on and so forth. Now, number four is visibility requires repetition. Now, how many times do we make a post on social media or we put something out there one time and we expect people to just flock to it? It is a very unrealistic expectation that a lot of us have because we don't like repetition. I mean, I'm someone I completely hate repetition. It's just very annoying for me, right? But I know that I have to do it when it comes to business. So, in addition to that, people need to see your brand over and over for it to stick in their minds. I mean, I think they say someone has to see an image, a flyer, or an ad about 7 times before they even like notice that it's something that they may be interested in. So you just have to do it, bite the bullet and just do it over and over and over and over and over until forever, basically. So, whether you have new followers, subscribers, or visitors, you'll always have someone that is seeing you for the first time, who is being introduced to your brand for the first time. And so, you always have to make sure that you're portraying yourself in a way that those people will actually find value in you and you'll win over their attention. There's always someone new, unless you have I don't know how many people are in the world now, but at least 7 billion followers somewhere, then everybody is not aware of you. So there's always an opportunity for someone new to find your brand. And that's the point of it anyway, for new people to find you, fall in love with you, and stick with you. Now, existing audiences need reminders of who you are and what you stand for. So just because you've gotten that follow or that subscription doesn't mean that those people are diehard fans. You still have to nurture them, you still have to reintroduce yourself to them and let them know what your brand actually stands for so that they can also decide whether they made the right choice following you, not because you're a terrible brand, but you want to have followers that are actually um, well suited for your brand. You want to have people who will actually turn into consistent buyers, consistent, people who come to your experiences, whatever it may be, because that is the best for the longevity of your business. In addition to that, consistent branding across all of your touch points will build trust and recognition. So, one of the easier ways to do that is to make sure that you're consistent with your color choices, your fonts, your imagery style, and all of that stuff. You don't brand one time. You brand daily through every piece of content, through every interaction, through every experience. And remember that branding is not just about the physical or visual components. It's literally about every part of the business that is breathing, that is living, like the way you speak, the way you interact with people, even the way you answer emails or respond to emails, the way you pick up the phone and respond. Branding is literally every single thing that you do within your business that an outside person comes into contact with. So, change your mindset about how you view branding, sorry, because it's a lot more than just the visuals. Number 5 is that strategy requires testing and refining, and that's with anything that you do, whether it's branding, whether it's something else, everything requires a level of testing and refining. Effective branding is rooted in strategy, and strategy will always evolve because you won't get everything perfect on day one, and that is totally fine. Because you're evolving, things are going to change. That means you're reevaluating the things that you're doing, you're taking stock of how people are responding, and that's what it means to run a business. Now, in addition to that, you're going to see how the market is responding. You're going to take note of your analytics and you're going to get feedback to help you improve your brand presence. And then I want you to make sure that you're doing additional regular audits to catch any inconsistencies and identify opportunities for growth. Now, when it comes to inconsistencies, it could be inconsistencies right within your branding. So maybe you didn't use the correct voice, maybe your caption didn't sound the way that it should have. It didn't relate to people in the way you would have wanted to relate to them. So, audits aren't just like on the technical side, it's more so in how your brand is being represented wherever it's being represented. A strong brand is not built in just one moment, it is maintained through ongoing intention. So, again, I'll say it over and over and over. Branding is a living process. It's not a one-time event. It grows, it evolves, it deepens as you grow. And the more attention you give to it, the stronger it's going to become. I mean, I think they kind of say this with plants, like talking to your plant and, treating it like the living thing that it is makes it grow more. I don't know if that's actually true, but I've heard it. And so, if it is true, the same thing applies to your branding. It is a living process. Take good care of it, and it will take good care of you. So, I hope you enjoyed this video. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Make sure you take your brand vitals assessment so that you can figure out where you rank in building a strong and healthy brand. You'll catch the commercial in just a few seconds. So hang on tight. Have a great day.
You're doing all the things: posting content, updating your website, running ads, tweaking your offers, but still wondering, why isn't this working? Truth is, you might be focusing on areas that look productive but aren't actually moving the needle. The Brand Vitals Assessment helps you stop guessing and start targeting. It's like a wellness checkup, but for your brand. You'll gain crystal clear insight into the 9 essential areas every brand needs to thrive. No fluff, no filler, just facts about where your brand stands and what needs your focus. Because clarity is the first step to real momentum. And when you know where to focus, you start to see progress, not just activity. Get out of busy work. Get into brand building that actually works. Take the Brand Vitals Assessment now. Have you tapped into your Firmacy benefits? As a beneficiary, you unlock special offers, gifts, and always stay in the loop. Subscribe today to receive your exclusive dose. Visit firmacybenefits.com.